Good morning. It's Saturday, January 30th. It's been 10 days or so since Joe Biden took office. And the first thing he did is the same thing that Trump did. He started writing executive orders to overturn all of the executive orders that Trump wrote. So I guess that's okay. You get a new regime in and they want to change some things. So one of the executive orders that Joe Biden wrote rescinded the oil permits on the Keystone Pipeline. Now, this has been a controversial subject for a long time. There are many people against this pipeline because of environmental issues. And it's going to be something like 1,200 miles long, and it's going to run from Hardisty in Alberta, near Saskatchewan, all the way down to Steel City in Nebraska, where it was going to hook up with existing pipelines. And you need to run a pipeline like this because most of our oil processing plants are on the Gulf Coast, right? And so that's in the mind of many in the oil industry, the best way to run the stuff there is by pipeline. Because transmitting it by rail or by trucks is more expensive than having the pipeline there. Obama did say that it wasn't more expensive to do that, but I don't know how he figured that out. It would seem to me that trucks and rail would be more expensive and probably safer because there have been many accidents that involve trucks, oil trucks or rail. So everybody felt it was safer to send it by pipeline, except the environmentalists and the Native Americans who live in those regions because this pipeline is going through their territories. And if they have a pipeline spill, that would be a disaster. Plus, these things have been known to leak into the water supply, and that was a very big issue. And of course, the environmentalists explained all of that to President Obama, who refused to issue the first presidential permit for this pipeline. As soon as Trump took office, he issued the permit, claiming that there would be 11,000 new jobs created by this action. Now, I'm not sure how many new jobs there would be created, but I can tell you this, that there's 8,000 union people who would be employed, and everybody else that worked on the pipeline would be temporary employee. So while they might have worked for a year or 2 years while this thing is being built, these are not lifetime jobs. So as the situation stands right now, many of these jobs are in jeopardy because Joe Biden negated the permit, rescinded the permit on this pipeline. And then John Kerry, who is Joe Biden's climate ambassador, made some statements at a recent press conference that got a lot of people upset. He said basically what President Biden wants to do to the people whose jobs are in jeopardy, he wants to make sure that those folks have better choices, that they have alternatives, that they can be people who can go to work to make solar panels. Now that statement has gotten a lot of people upset. Among those people is the infamous Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz says that it was ridiculous for a non-scientist to assume that he knew what was best for millions of people. And he said, what an arrogant, out-of-touch statement for a centimillionaire to say. You know, you little people, you know, I don't like the choices you're making, and your jobs are going to go away. That's essentially what Cruz said. Now, Cruz is on my shit list because of his actions on January 6th when the riots were taking place and he was going to object to the election counts. So I tend to take a lot of the things that he says from the wrong perspective. And I tell you, it is a terrible thing when you have to make decisions that affect people's work. That doesn't mean they're wrong. There are many things that are probably wrong with this decision about nixing the pipeline. But there are many people involved on both sides of this thing. So who's to know who is right or wrong? And when I look at this thing, I say that Joe Biden may have acted too fast in negating the pipeline because of all the risks with how to get this oil into the country. But on the other hand, I look at the people whose land is going to be invaded by this pipeline and whose water supply, and there have been many stories about water supply lately, whose water supply could be infected by this pipeline. So it's a dilemma, and maybe they could have designed the pipeline to go someplace else. And maybe Kerry's statement was taken badly by people who lose their jobs and are told that they could get better jobs somewhere. But those people need to be trained. I don't hear anything in this statement that says we're going to train people to do these jobs. We're going to offer them something. It looks to me like this is an open-ended statement and a big mistake in the way it was handled, which seems to be the norm around the country these days. I don't think it's right for people to lose their jobs that quickly. I think these people had to be compensated in some way, shape, or form and guaranteed the training required to do these new jobs, or training to do any other jobs. You don't have to make a big deal out of it by saying they should build solar panels when they're not really equipped to do that. They're not trained to do that. So it's another situation, I think, that came to bear by two opposing situations, two opposing views. Those who want to keep the oil industry going, because they make a lot of money in that business, and those who worry about the oil itself, plus the gas emissions and everything else that contaminate our environment. So I don't know what Kerry could have said that would have made it easier or better. He said something, and maybe he said it off the cuff, and it's probably what he said was wrong, and it upset these people. I don't blame them being upset. They lost their jobs with no guarantees for the future. And that, I think, is the biggest mistake. No guarantee for the future. So I'll leave you with this. In every situation, there are two sides. And when you confront the situation, you have to be aware of the other side. And you have to be prepared to say the right things. And I don't know if they were prepared for that, Biden and Kerry. I don't know if they were prepared for that. So I will leave you with that this morning, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.